students, welcome to the online session or the subject of structural analysis. This subject of structural analysis is mainly for the student of structural engineering. Basically, in design of any kind of a structure, first of all, analysis is required to be done. If the analysis of the structure is done properly, then the design of the structure can be done properly. So basically, we can say that structural analysis is very important subject for the structural engineering students. So let's start with this important subject of structural analysis. So 3, 2, 1. Let's start. Hello students, welcome back to our online session. We have just started the chapter of direct and bending stress in the previous session. Now let's discuss some further important topics that are related in this chapter. So let's start with the contents that we are going to discuss. So basically we are going to discuss the limit of eccentricity. We are going to discuss the limits that are there in the eccentricity. Same time we will also dealing with some definitions, the effect of axial and the eccentric load on the column will be also being discussed in this session. The maximum and the minimum stresses we will be discussing in this session, and the limit of eccentricity we will be discussing. Okay. Finally, we will be having an example. Okay. So, starting with the first, that is the limit of eccentricity. So, when an eccentric load is being acting onto the column, at the time it produces both the direct stress also and the indirect, bending stress also. On one side of the neutral axis, there will be the maximum stress, and to the another side of the neutral axis, that is being below, there will be the minimum stress. So this is the characteristics of the eccentricity. Whenever the load is being acting onto the column in an eccentric way, it will be causing both the maximum, we can say that the direct stress also and the bending stress also. Above the neutral axis means on the one side it will be having the maximum stresses, and below it, below the neutral axis, we will be having the minimum stress. Now limit of eccentricity, further discussing a little consideration will show that so long as the bending stress remain less than the direct stress, the resultant stress will be compressive. Whenever the bending stress is lesser than the direct stress, then the resultant stress will be the compressive. If the bending stress is equal to the direct stress, means B is directly equal to sigma D, then we can say that the tensile, we can say that there will be a tensile stress on the one side. Limit of eccentricity, further discussing, though the cement concrete can take up a small tensile stress, yet it is desirable that no tensile stress should come into the play. So though we can say that they are having a little tensile stress, it is desirable that no tensile stress is required to be taken by the concrete. Okay, the formula you can see over here, the formula of eccentricity will be E should be less than Z by A. Means this condition is that the eccentricity should be lesser than the Z by A. It means that for a tensile condition, the eccentricity should be either less than Z by A, or it should be maximized equal to Z by A. Now we shall discuss the eccentricity limit in the following conditions. Different cases are there. Different cases, the condition for the this one eccentricity will be different. So let's discuss this different conditions. So moving toward this, we will be having, if we are having the rectangular section, then for no tension condition, its eccentricity should be less than or equal to D by 6. So for a particular rectangular section, if we want no tensile condition, then the E value should be less than or equal to D by 6. If we are having an hollow rectangular section where B is the capital B is the outer dimension and small b is the inner dimension. Capital D will be the outside dimension and small d will be the inner dimension. So there will be a space, a hollow cylinder. Okay. So by this, if we want to create a condition where no tension is being taking place, then for that our E value should be less than or equal to BD cube, means capital BD cube minus small bd cube upon 6 capital D whole bracket B into D, that is capital B into D minus small b. We have to satisfy this condition, and after that only we will be getting a no tension condition in a hollow rectangular section, which is having the dimension of capital B outside and small b insider, and depth equal to capital D outside and the small d inside. Okay. Now moving towards the circular section. If we want no tension condition in a circular section, then in that case our eccentricity condition should be in such a way that it should be less than or equal to d by 8. So it is required to be satisfied. After that only we will be getting a no tension condition. After that, if we are having a hollow circular section and we want to satisfy the no tension condition in that particular hollow circular section, then in that case the condition that is required to be satisfied will be E should be less than or equal to D2 minus small d2 divided by B8 into D. Okay. So that is required to be followed. Now let's discuss some definition. So first definition is the axial load. When a load is acting onto the longitudinal axis of a column, then it will be termed as the axial load. It mainly the axial load will be producing the compressive stress in the column. Okay. Next is eccentric load. So when a load whose line of action does not coincide with the axis of the column, then it will be producing the direct and the bending stress. And the load behind this direct and bending stress will be the eccentric load. Now we have discussed the eccentric load. From this there will be an important term, that is the eccentricity, denoted by small e. It is nothing but a horizontal distance between the longitudinal axis of the column and the line of the action of the load. So the point at which the load is acting and the location at which the centroid is being located, between them will be some horizontal distance. That distance will be termed as the eccentricity. And talking about axially loaded column, its E value will be equal to 0. Okay. So this is the condition which will be taking. Okay. Further, you can see over here that what are the effect of the eccentric load and the axial load on the column. You can see over here the first figure is the axial load, and in the next figure, means we can say that B figure, there will be an eccentric load, X means P load will be acting. Now let's discuss first this axial load. You can see in figure number A, we have the load P that is being acting at the exact center of the column, at the centroid. You can see the dotted line is the centroid of the column. At that point the P load is acting. So under this case we will be considering the column under the axial loading. Okay. So whenever this axial loading will be acting onto it, at that time if we are drawing the stress diagram, we will be only having the direct stress. Okay. So direct stress here is denoted by sigma 0. So it will be P by A. So whenever the axial load is being acting onto the column, at that time only the direct stress will be acting on. But if we are having some we can say that eccentricity, then the condition will be different. If we are not having this eccentricity, then there will not be any kind of a bending stress. No bending stress will be formed, and ultimately the resultant stress will be equal to the direct stress only. So resultant will be the direct stress only. But as shown in the given figure, we are having a load at some distance from the center, that is E. So under this case, we will be having the direct stress also and the bending stress also. Okay, you can see over here that we have the direct stress, that is sigma 0 is equal to P by, and at the same time you can see that there is a bending stress also. Okay, sigma B. Okay, so we have to consider both direct stress also and bending stress also for the resultant stress. So there is a diagram that will be showing the resultant stress. So resultant stress will be equal to, on the left hand side it will be equal to sigma 0 minus sigma B, and on the right side it will be equal to also sigma 0 plus sigma B. Okay, one side it will be maximum and other side will be minimum. So at maximum it will be having an addition, on the minimum side it will be having the subtraction. And mind well, this sigma 0 is P by A and sigma B, that is the bending stress, will be M by Z. Moment divided by plastic section modulus. Okay. So yes, we have a short column that is being subjected to the axial load, and which is nothing but a compressive force. Okay. So because of this only we will be having a direct stress. The direct stress will be equal to sigma 0, that is equal to P by A. Okay. So you can see over here. Now at the same time, when we are having this eccentric load acting onto our structure, so whenever this eccentric load is acting, we will be having the bending stress. Okay, it's denoted by sigma B. So the sigma B will be acting when the eccentric load is being acting. So under the resultant stress, we have to consider both. So the direct stress here is P by A, and bending stress will be M by Z. That is required to be taken into consideration. Okay, sigma is equal to M by Z. Z is equal to I by Y. So ultimately we can say that it will be equal to M into Y by I. Okay. So this is the thing that is required to be discussed. Now maximum stress and minimum stress. When a column is subjected to eccentric load, the edge of the column towards the eccentricity will be subjected to the maximum stress. Means the edge that is being nearer to the eccentricity will be having the maximum stress, that is equal to sigma max. Okay, and another opposite edge on which the eccentricity is not acting at that time, at that location, we will be having the minimum stress. So means we can say that when the eccentric load, the edge that is being adjacent to the eccentric load, it will be having sigma 0 plus sigma B. But on the other side, where the stress is not being acting, at that point our resultant stress will be the minimum stress, and that will be equal to sigma 0 minus sigma B. So this is what I wanted to. Okay, you can see the condition in maximum stress, that is being denoted by sigma max. There it will be equal to direct stress plus bending stress, means sigma 0 plus sigma B. Sigma 0 will be equal to P by A, and sigma B will be M by Z. So if we are modifying this equation, we are solving this equation, so we will be getting a precise formula that will be equal to P by A whole bracket 1 plus 6E by B. Okay, so this is the thing. And if we are talking about the minimum stress, then its formula will be sigma 0 minus sigma B, that is P by A minus M by Z. So on final solving this equation, we will be getting the formula of P by A into whole bracket into 1 minus 6E by B. There sigma 0 is the direct stress, sigma B is the bending stress, M is the moment, E is the eccentricity, and moment here the formula will be P into E. Means the load, the axial load P into the eccentricity, that is E. So that is the moment. Z is the section modulus, that will be equal to I by Y, where I is the moment of inertia and Y is the distance, the extreme fiber from the center of gravity of the coil. So these are all the parameters which this each terms designates. Okay. Limits of eccentricity. Ultimately, some limits are being described. So the maximum distance of load from the center of the column is such that if the load acts within that distance, there is no tension. Okay. So some limits are being finalized. This maximum distance is called the limit of eccentricity. So let's discuss this limit. So when the load is acting within an E limit, sigma max will be compressed. Sorry, sigma minimum will be compressed. When the load is acting within the E limit, sigma minimum will be compressive. When the load is acting at a point of a E limit, sigma minimum will be 0. And when the load is acting beyond E limit, sigma minimum will be the tensile. So these are the limits that we will be having. Okay. It is required to be taken into the consideration while finalizing the sigma minimum or while analysis. So these are the limits. Okay. We have an example that we will be solving in the next session. So we are keeping up to this only as this session. See you in the next session.
So here we are ending our session. Hope you have liked the session. We have discussed each and every topic in brief and also in detail. We have discussed each and every topic's practical application also. So thank you for attending the session. And if you have any kind of a doubt, if you have any kind of a query, then you can send me your doubts and queries in mail. My mail is in my YouTube channel. Do check into my YouTube channel, like it, share it, and again thank you for attending this session. See you in the next session. Thank you.